During the Cold War, the space race prompted the UN to develop an astonishing array of high-end innovations that pushed technology to seen before. Russian cosmodromes, constructed in the 1950s, the USSR's technology had evolved since World War II had ended. The Baikonur alone have had more than 3,000 launches ever since. And the Russian rockets have left more than 4,000 tons of high-tech waste scattered across miles. The locals have grown accustomed to it. The lights, the deafening roar of the launches, the small tremors, and the up to 10 rain down upon villages and forests in the vicinity are part of their everyday life. Evacuate come launch time, but now some eagerly face the danger to catch riches. The Baikonur Cosmodrome. The Altai mountain region of Asia is a mostly peaceful and quiet place. Formation serves as a boundary between the Kazakh steppes, the frozen forests of Siberia, and of Mongolia. Various landscapes, animals, and peoples interact. Civilization has never had a strong presence in the region. Nature flourished kind. But all that changed abruptly after the end of World War II. The USSR quickly began the construction of military facilities across its borders with other countries. In the 1950s, the once calm region gave way to the most extensive the world has ever known, the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The Baikonur Cosmodrome has been the launch site for many historic missions. USSR's achievements. Sputnik 1, the first satellite to ever reach Yuri Gagarin's 1961 flight, were launched from this base. On its first launch, the Cosmodrome is still active. Every month, commercial launches occur. The Russian facility has become the primary launch site in the International Space Station. However, its tremendous importance, especially regarding the region's population, which has been forced to adapt to toxic waste left by the rockets. The massive traffic of rockets that launch from the generates kilometers of debris over the corridor of rocket flight paths. 106-ton Russian satellites require a 4-stage Proton rocket that weighs nearly 7. When the satellite launches, booster rockets peel away from the craft in 3 stages down to Earth. Those segments of debris fall violently from anything under its flight path. The first stage falls within 90 kilometers of the second stage falls 1,000 kilometers away in the Altai region. It's been reported raining down on villages are more than 10 meters in length. The continuous flow of space debris the Cosmodrome has built up in the region since 1950 rated to be over 2,500 tons of waste. Period. Great efforts were made to recover the remains of the Baikonur booster rockets to preserve secrecy. Nowadays, the government seems not to care about them. This amount of space debris has been left to rust in Kazakhstan and the Altai Mountains. Interviewed by foreign journalists have said that there seems to be an indirect agreement between the government regarding the waste left behind. The government leaves the rubbish, and the lost and scrap them for whatever use they wish to give it. Watching a satellite launch may be a one-time, but it's a common sight for the natives of the launch area. The same can be said about giant chunks of satellite wastes falling from the sky. From the sky are often described by farmers, quote, like an angry red eye in the night, thundering sound, and a small earthquake that shakes the ground. The Russian entity in charge of the launches designates a specific strip of land across the rocket stages are supposed to occur. Paul Cooper, a June 2018, explains that, quote, residents within this zone are of a launch to get themselves to safety, and it's only outside this zone that people can images. Incidents within the zone are not uncommon. That the Russian Federal Space Agency has an entire area dedicated to investigating claims for damages caused by the launches in the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The agency investigate if it's feasible to compensate for the damage caused by falling debris, as animals and people have been hit by space debris or harmed by the toxic waste. In 2008, Sergei Kazantsev, a local lawsuit for the death of 4 of his horses that died of intoxication from the traces of toxic fuel field of his. In an interview by the Moscow Times, he always arrives at an inspection with an open mind. He said, quote, founded claims and have suffered physical harm, then we will look into it. But many people from material gain. However, not all damages can be repaired. In 2011, a Progress 44 capsule atop a Soyuz U rocket station when it failed within the first 5 minutes of its launch. To Earth with its later stages still full of fuel. The result was a vast explosion up to 100 kilometers away. Luckily, no the damage in the area was tremendous, as the toxic fuel contaminated everything around. Plesetsk Cosmodrome. The risk of falling rocket debris also exists in the area around the Plesetsk Cosmodrome, the Mezensky district in Arkhangelsk Oblast, northern Russia. In the 1950s, as the world's first ICBM site, the Cosmodrome had more than 15 between the 1960s and the early 2000s, when the launches drastically decreased. Many of the launch boosters, fuel tanks, and fuselages from rockets dropped in swamps of the Mezensky district. All that space junk has been reclaimed but habit the lands. In 1989, a 65-foot load crashed in Mirny, 200 miles south of the Plesetsk Cosmodrome. Soviet Union, just like in Baikonur, locals have made a living out of the tons of debris left. Space junk scrappers. The phenomenon of scrapping, or rocket recycling, remained hidden from the world until the fall of the... Almost no one outside of Russia knew about this particular phenomenon that's been for people living near the 2 cosmodromes. Recently, Raffaele Petrella, its photographer, began documenting this phenomenon in 2017. When he was about his visits, he said, quote, "My curiosity was very strong. I was interested to understand why the inhabitants of the area, despite being aware of these pieces of rocket, especially the propellant Heptal, highly carcinogenic, Many natives have seen the launches as a unique opportunity to... A whole business has developed in the region around the debris that falls from the sky. Veteran scrap dealers track down launches with binoculars, with natural accuracy, and reach the crash sites either in cars or on horses. Job, as many crash zones provoke wildfires and highly toxic vapors that impregnate. In the end, it pays off. With little protective gear, other scavengers use blowtorches to strip the wrecks of their light metals and other valuables. The region has welcomed the scrapping business, besides farming, hunting, or fishing, too. Petrella says, quote, "I discovered that for the people, it is a great fortune to be able to recover these objects, to build boats and all to be able to fish in summer and hunt in winter. The durable metal that covers is very resistant. The space junk recovered by the scrappers is used for a variety besides hunting or fishing. Farmers, for example, use the metal carcasses of rocket tables with their livestock, including shovels and other farming essentials. It has helped the people make the best out of the situation. However, there has been a price to pay. Devil's bargain. The Russian rockets contains highly toxic components, such as Heptal, which has been linked to cancer effects. A significant amount of the debris recovered contains materials. When scrappers approach the waste carelessly, most often than not contact with these materials, which directly harms them. Conducted in the region have shown alarming results regarding health problems. 2005, a Nature study showed children in affected areas were twice as likely blood disorders. In some locations, an elevated percentage of children are born. Doctors explain that the spread of space junk and toxic compounds. Additionally, the waste makes its way into the food and water, damaging. Humans have found animals blinded by toxic chemicals. Depends on agriculture and livestock, the effects are devastating. The Russian denied any link between the debris and the ongoing health problems. When asked, quote, "This is another example of how the poor always get the toxic waste, they even profit from it, but at the expense of their air, health, and life."